The Biden administration pausing a program that allowed hundreds of thousands of migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to legally enter the United States. The hold happening over concerns of significant fraud among people sponsoring the migrants. Let's bring in Daniel Stein, president for the Federation for American Immigration Reform, whose organization broke the news that this report had been done and that the pause had been initiated. So, the report, I have to say, Daniel, is shocking, but I assume to you it's probably not surprising.
Well, this is only the tip of the iceberg. And here at the Federation for American Immigration Reform, we obviously want to be a generous people, but not at the expense of public safety and national security. When the Biden-Harris administration initiated these illegal mass parole programs, we knew they lacked the resources to properly vet the applications. But when the internal investigations and anti-fraud unit within USCIS disclosed to us the level of fraud, where you have thousands of applications with people with dead social security numbers or from the same IP address. In many cases, it's obvious that they've been orchestrated applications, and yet they've still been rubber stamped through. It's part of the tip of the iceberg where we've seen millions of aliens paroled in by the Biden-Harris administration, knowing full well that it's not only very difficult to remove them once they've been brought in, but by using parole, they're also trying to fast track them to green cards and citizenship. So this whole thing is a result of an attitude of the Biden-Harris administration to not care about fraud. And the only reason Secretary Mayorkas, the impeached Secretary Mayorkas, stopped it is probably because of the election. You want to look at a guy who's responsible for the kind of policies that create this kind of atmosphere. Look at Governor Walsh of Minnesota, okay? His voting record is a classic example of the anti-enforcement positions on immigration policy that have led to the messages going all around the world that this is one of the easy ways you get into the country. And unfortunately, we haven't seen anything from Vice President Harris explaining the nature of this kind of fraud.
Yeah, we haven't seen much explanation from the government on anything. On Governor Walz, by the way, we should point out, he is the governor of a sanctuary state. He gave people in the country illegally taxpayer-funded health care, tuition, and allowed them to get driver's licenses as well. Here's what the report says in part, just in case folks at home aren't totally ready in on this. So this is the CHNV program, the parole program that Joe Biden said would help relieve the pressure at the border. There were 2.6 million applications so far. Of those, 529,000 have been approved, 118,000 have been denied. Here's what Daniel was talking about. 100 IP addresses accounted for 51,133 of the applications. Over 100,000 forms had been filed by just a little more than 3,000 different serial sponsors. The most frequently used sponsor email address was listed on 363 different forms, and 100 street addresses were used between 124 and 739 times on unique forms. The question a lot of people at home might have is, how did DHS ever let this happen?
It's an attitude that USCIS has adopted. We saw this initially in the Obama administration of getting to yes, approving applications, giving the default position of yes, approve it, ask questions later. It's a mentality that starts at the political branches of the government. And from the time Biden came into office, he made it clear he was going to fix the problem by finding new lawful pathways that frankly aren't lawful to bring people in who would normally come illegally by bringing them in through other means illegally. And that's how these programs get established. You can't make illegal immigration disappear through sleight of hand by flying them in at night or coming up with these phony parole programs. We can't allow the Biden-Harris administration or Harris administration to take parole, which Congress established for a very limited use purpose for a handful of aliens every year, to suddenly turn them into a mass immigration program without limit, subject only to whatever the Secretary of DHS defines. And that's what Secretary Mayorkas has done. And the result is this kind of massive, massive fraud. And you think the smugglers, the cartels don't know what's going on? They have much better information than the average American. And you want to know why you see millions of people coming in through the Darien Gap? This is why.
Yeah, well, they're driving it, I mean, to be sure. So DHS says, well, they're going to push ahead with this program, saying it's only a temporary pause. DHS saying DHS will restart application processing as quickly as possible with appropriate safeguards. If they so badly botched it on the rollout, can they be trusted to fix it?
No, the problem is that what they're doing is illegal in its entirety. There's no congressional or statutory authorization for this kind of mass parole program on a country basis. 30,000 a month from 4 different countries, and it won't stop there. Bad practices are going to create more bad practices. They're only waiting. This is all election year politicking. The minute they feel the coast is clear, they're going to go right back into rubber stamping fraudulent applications because, John, they don't care. They're just trying to maximize the level of people they're getting into the country because they're trying to change the demographic base of the electorate. It's very simple.
Daniel Stein, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you. Thank you.
All right.